Hi everybody, welcome back to the BMW M3 from Ann Arbor Series. Today we're going to be installing this Eventuri carbon fiber cold air intake into our F80 LCI M3. The carbon fiber looks absolutely amazing. You can also get this in a matte finish as well as Kevlar in different colors, but today we've got our gloss carbon fiber weave which will match nicely with the rest of the cross brace and the interior of the engine bay. We're also going to be installing Eventuri charge pipes and a CSF intercooler upgrade, since we'll have the carbon fiber strut brace off as well as the cold air intake. We'll be able to access our charge pipes and be able to change out the top mount intercooler from stock to upgraded CSF. With that, let's go ahead and see the other parts we're going to install today. As mentioned, this will be the second thing we'll be installing into our 2018 M3 F80. These are the matte black Eventuri charge pipes. We'll be replacing the rubber stock ones with this upgrade. And next we'll take a look at the intercooler from CSF that we'll be installing as well. And the third item that we'll be installing today is our matte black CSF intercooler. Beautiful, and this will really complement the carbon fiber that we're doing with the cold air intake and the charge pipe upgrade today. With that, let's go ahead and start removing our OEM intake, our OEM charge pipes, and our OEM intercooler. All right, what we're going to do first is go ahead and pop our hood. Go ahead and take a 10mm socket and remove the back plastic guards, as we'll be removing our carbon fiber strut brace to access everything today.
Got your removal tool to pop this.
This way we should be able to remove this now. All right, we'll put this off to the side somewhere safe. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. These are just half turns. Gently lift up and away and put this off to the side. While we have our 10mm, we can also remove the 10mm bolt holding the middle of the strut brace.
All right, with that removed, we'll get our 13mm. Remove 3 up top, driver's side.
All right, and to shorten our time, we've gotten our electric ratchet. Now we should be gently able to lift it out. All right, and we can put this off somewhere safe. All right, and next what we're going to do is remove our driver side airbox. What we're going to do first is loosen the clamp. This is a 6mm screw. Once that's generally loose, we'll go ahead and take this plastic out, shift this to the side, and we'll just take the grommet out. Next what we'll do is we'll gently remove our coolant hose. We'll remove one vacuum line. This is taken out by just squeezing together and pulling back. Just set that off to the side. And next we'll just take off our first mass airflow sensor. Might be easier to use a pick tool to get underneath it or a flathead screwdriver. Once you've gotten it, just wiggle it back. You can just put this off to the side. The engine's been cold for a while, so no need to worry about heat. Next, what we can do is gently lift away from the connector. And gently pull up on our grommets. That's the driver's side out. We'll put this somewhere safe. We'll have to remove the mass airflow sensor as well. All right, and next we'll be doing the passenger side. We'll take our 6mm hex and just gently unscrew. So it's nice and loose. And then we can take our mass airflow sensor off. Again, just be gentle, pry back. Once it's loose, we can just set it off to the side. Pull back on this connection. Once that's done, we can gently pull up on the grommets. We'll have to find that one. Put this off somewhere safe. We'll be needing to get the mass airflow sensor off it as well. Fortunately, we can see our rubber grommet. It's a little bit difficult to get to. All right, now that we have that, just stick it back in. Perfect. Next, what we're going to do is get the last plastic hose out, which is this one here on the passenger side back of the engine. Again, we'll just need our 6mm hex. Gently loosen it. Once that's nice and loose, we can go ahead and gently remove. Careful not to drop anything in there. All right. Put this off to the side somewhere safe. And we'll stick a nice, clean microfiber cloth in there because we'll also be changing the charge pipes and the intercooler. Next, we're going to go ahead and install the driver side but leave the passenger side off for now. All right, we're going to install the first part of our driver's side air intake. It's just a carbon fiber scoop that has 2 holes, one on each side, and you'll use the pre-supplied hardware in order to mount it to the car. So gently fix it into place by sliding it around the existing piping. Once it's in place and the holes are lined up, you can use the supplied hardware. Towards the center of the engine bay is a little bit easier to get down into because it just has more room. We'll do that one first. Pop it in, and now we'll do the outside. Just a little bit tighter space. It is more difficult than I thought. We're also trying not to depress it, as that will close it. Oh no. The bolt fell into our under tray, so we'll get that after. Now what we're going to do is continue to uninstall the top-mounted intercooler. Since we're going to be doing that, we're just going to put some carbon fiber, microfiber cloths into our intakes just to make sure that nothing drips in. All right, and next what we're going to do is remove our engine cover so we can gain access to our charge pipe clamps, as we'll be removing those in their entirety. Let's go ahead and remove the engine cover. All right, now that that's off, we can put it off somewhere safe. It's filthy, so we'll also be cleaning it. All right, and next what we'll do is we'll go ahead and loosen our charge pipe clamps. I believe these are going to be, they're 6 or 7 millimeter. They're going to be a 6. We're just going to be loosening the top one because we're going to be removing them in their entirety. They'll really start to loosen up there. All right. Do the other one as well. They're on there nice and tight from the factory. Just got this one loosened. All right. Now that those are loosened, leave them for just a minute. All right, so next what we're going to do is pull away our charge pipes. Now that we have everything loose. Might take off the other side as well, 6 millimeter bolt, just so we can get this off. On this one. Heat has really warped these. perfect. We'll do the same thing on this one. Rock it back. All right, those are both away now. Perfect. Since we're going to be removing them in their entirety, may as well take the charge pipes out as well. It's held in by one E11. All right, got that out. We should be able to put this away, make sure that everything is disconnected. All right, and that is our first charge pipe remove. Put that somewhere safe. And we'll put a clean microfiber cloth down there so that nothing falls in. Alternatively, you could use a clean glove. Next, what we'll do is we'll get the back off. Again, this is a E11, but we're going to need a longer extension. All right, and next we'll take our E11 and go for the back charge pipe bolt. All right, we've actually got an 1/8" drive with our E11, and it seems to be a little bit nicer to reach down in there, get a little bit of tension on it. All right, we're going to keep attacking this E11, which is in quite the precarious tight spot. Hopefully we'll be able to get it out soon. And with that, it's out. All right, and next what we can do is gently rock the charge pipe in order to loosen it up. And then we should be able to pull it off. We just have to be careful about some of our wiring. There's also a grommet. With those off, we should be able to pass it by. This bracket is super in the way. As is this little cover. All right, and there we go. It's our second charge pipe out. We'll go ahead and put that somewhere safe. we'll get a clean microfiber cloth to put down. All right. Next, what we can do is drain the intercooler and disconnect the rest of the sensors and lines. And before we drain our coolant, we're going to disconnect one of the sensors. Again, we'll just take our pick tool, gently lift up while pushing down. That should disconnect it. Just leave that there. Next, we'll just move this rubber out of the way. We'll take our 6mm hex driver. We're just going to loosen up this hose here. Should make it really loose because sometimes these are tough to get off. Right. Make sure this is really loose. It's about as loose as it gets before it'll start to disconnect. Perfect. Failing to record, but we did use our little pump tool, and we did get out a couple hundred milliliters of coolant into our container just using some siphon and gravity. We'll go ahead and wipe up some of the coolant that's spilled around, as well as go on to our next step, which is disconnecting some of the lines that are in the front. And then we'll be placing our microfiber cloth back underneath some of the cooling lines as we go to disconnect, and we'll use our CSF end caps that have been provided in order to reduce the amount of spillage. So you look down here, there's just one line that comes off there. Just move our mass airflow sensor back, and then there's another wire here. Since they're connected to the aluminum housing of the intercooler, we'll just make sure that those are disconnected as well. Just gently push away from the plastic clip. Perfect. And those are now separated from the housing itself. All right, next what we're going to do is disconnect some of our front lines. We are expecting a little bit of spillage as there might still be some coolant in there, so we're going to go ahead and tuck a couple towels underneath just to capture any excess. All right, we have our 2 CSF caps that we can put on in order to prevent lots of spillage. A little bit of coolant there. It's all right. And hopefully this is our last line and there isn't much coolant in here. Do there. Just a little bit. And we can cap it off in order to prevent it from spilling too much. All right, next what we're going to do is put our cap back onto the expansion tank and then go ahead and start to gently lift the intercooler off of its mounts. There's one big rubber mount in the front and one on the side. We just want to make sure that nothing's snagged on it. The aluminum below. There's one. There we go. My goodness. Wow. It is out. Now we're going to go to the bench and start to remove the hardware from our old OEM intercooler and replace it to the new CSF. All right, and before we go to the workbench any further, we're just going to take our current intercooler, which might still have a little bit of fluid in it, and just make sure it's fully drained out. All right, and then when it's mostly drained, we'll just plug it back up. Perfect. Let's go over to the workbench. All right, and next what we're going to do is transfer all of the hardware from our old intercooler onto our new. Just note, you will need to use the new hardware provided by CSF as we're going from rubber mounts to metal mounts. So once we remove, we'll just want to ensure that we sort the hardware correctly. We'll put our plastic mounts off to the left here.
we're going to have to use our P30 as well to get the sensor off. Alright, transfer it over. Need to be careful here to fly. There we go. Push it in, and then use our hardware to secure it. P30. Swap in. Those are 3 rows. Since we're fatter head, P30. Sensor in. Use the handprint, F80. Sensor. Now with our P20. Both these pop. I might be able to see that, so just move it there. Now we do have hose clamp here. Get underneath.
Alright, next we're going to go install our bracket. You can gently push the tank on so we don't have any spilling. Generally line everything up.
Sorry for the dog noise. Nice and hand tight.
Nice and hand tight. nicely tight. Check. All right, you can flip it over. And of course, we've already noticed that CSF has forgotten one nut as part of their hardware package. Screw isn't all the way down. This isn't flush. All right, now it's flush. Now we can flip it over. As noted, CSF has forgotten one nut for the expansion tank. Perfect. So we're going to secure the one that we think is harder to get to. And then we'll run to the hardware store, and once the rest of it's installed, we'll install a back one. So I think the front one is going to be harder to get to ultimately. Last time it just threaded right through. Nice and tight. This one threads right through, so what we're going to do is we're going to wait to get the using hardware from the hardware store, but that's our expansion tank installed. Let's go ahead and get this hose clamp back up to the front. Perfect. It's nice and tight. The bracket's secured even with one, but we'll make sure that we get our second. All right, and now we can transfer over our covers to our OEM and then go back to install. All right, and to reinstall, we're going to go ahead and take one of our clean microfiber cloths out, and we're going to get our CSF unit. And we're going to generally line it up. We want to ensure that we're into the pipe. Nice and into the pipe. Perfect. And we're going to generally line everything up in here, making sure nothing is getting crushed or pushed around. This line is running well. Get our grommet basically lined up so that nothing is trapped or pinched. And we can give it a little snug push. Feels like everything is nice in place. Make sure that this pushed all the way up. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and get everything plugged back in. Those are all on, perfect.
Put our sensor back in. Alright, perfect. Now we can tighten up the intake. 6mm.
We sort of made sure that the band was even all the way around before finalizing tightening here. We need to use a flat head instead. Yeah, we're going to get a 6mm wrench. It'll make it much easier. There we go, 6mm. B has it. All right, and we're going to go ahead and start with the installation of our Eventuri charge pipes. We're going to go ahead and take out our placeholder microfiber cloth. And then we've got the Eventuri coupler mounted to the hardware. The O-ring is installed, so we're going to go ahead and seat that down there, see if we can hand thread a little bit, and then start to tighten it down. Make sure it's set on there nicely. There we go, nice and flush. All right, and now we can take our hardware, see if we can hand thread it. We've got our T11 wrench. We're going to see if we can't get our electric one down there.
Alright, now we'll hands tighten. It's a little difficult to get to. See, should narrow. Be able to get this other tight.
Nice and torqued. All right. Now we can go ahead and get our top coupler on. 7mm screw. We're going to try and get the Eventuri language to be towards the top and front. Take out our carbon fiber cloth. Put the coupler on there. We need to just loosen it a little bit. You can see the nice words Eventuri. Make sure that our bands are pointed away from the front of the engine so we can't see them. We'll go ahead and tighten that back one down pretty tight. That front one nice and loose. All right. Nice tight seal. Front one's pretty loose. Now let's go ahead and get our carbon fiber.
Realized embarrassingly that I almost forgot our couplers. Let's just go ahead and slide these on. Nicely at the bottom. Nice. Nice and so we can tighten it. Open that screw in case we need to tighten that up again. Okay. Now we take it down.
All right. Nice and secure. Perfect. All right, now we'll put our top coupler on as well so we don't forget that. We're just trying to rotate it around so that we can actually tighten it. Right there should be good. Okay, now we can go ahead and hopefully install our charge pipe. Ooh, unbelievable. We need to. We might have to move this line, possibly this, but we're going to see if we can squeeze it through without removing it. All right, round two, fight. Okay, that's at the bottom. Might need a little pry tool to work our way around this rubber and hopefully seat it in there. Feels like we're close. The seal's almost too good. It's getting caught on the bottom lip. There we go. Nice. Top is in. Bottom seems nice and firm. Top looks well aligned. Pretty loose still. We can tighten that down. Bottom looks pretty good. I think we're all in.
Feels pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Accidentally pushed it up. Ooh, tighten that down. An extra.
Tool to sort of push it down. I just want to push it down just a little bit more on the back. See if we can just get a little bit of angle. All the way around, and our hardware is pretty flush together now, which is pretty nice. Let's see if we can get it tight with that setting. Don't need it crazy either, because we are on rubber and carbon fiber. All right, let's do the same here with the front charge pipe. We're going to take out our microfiber cloth. We're going to take the Eventuri hardware and put it on flush. So much easier than the back one. All right, now that that's nice and flush, push it down, give it a good snug. Stick our T11 bolt, get it in there. Perfect. We got our extension here. Nice and tight. Again, it is a little loose per Eventuri installation instructions, but the bolt is secure. Next, what we're going to do is put our rubber couplers on, which we had forgotten to do last time, but not this time. Just loosen them up a little bit, make sure we can get them on there. And this one we're going to make easy on ourselves and face it in a way that we can easily get to. All right, let's go ahead and get those on. First one's down at the bottom. We thought we were being clever. You can't even read it. No one's going to know what it is. All right, nice and tight like the others. We get the top one on here. All right, just set that like that. Matching hardware is perfect. All right. Now let's go get our other rubber coupler. Remove our microfiber cloth. And we'll go ahead and seat this on just like the other one. Might need to loosen this a little bit. Get it on a little bit more. All right, we are over, and we are roughly the same height as the other one. Perfect. Let's tuck these bands back in so no one can see them. All right. And let's go ahead and tighten the back one. A little bit off down here. Feel it really. Oops. So we got our glove stuck. Grab the rubber. Perfect. All right, let's lose that just a little bit, just so we can make sure that we get the charge cooler on there. All right, we got the other one. Now let's go ahead and go to our charge pipe. Okay, we got our charge pipe here. Front one is so much easier. This one maybe we can actually do the top first. I think I'd prefer the bottom first now that I've had a look at it. I have to get creative with our trim tool again. Try not to scratch anything, but going around the ring. So close. twist on that. Loosen it up a little bit. Perfect. I think we're in. The trim tool for the rescue. All right. Looks nice. I think we got the bottom in now. Let's just double check. Top stayed in perfect. All right, I think we can go ahead and tighten our clamps down. Let's do bottom one first. All right, put that one there. Pretty well matched. Remember, it's just carbon fiber and plastic, so good and tight is tight enough. You don't want to break this. You've got a good seal. All right, let's go ahead and do the top one. Rotate this one just a little bit. For the rubber grab, I think we got it. It's pretty tight. All right. All right, so what we're going to do next is reinstall our main air intake. We'll take out our microfiber cloth, and that will gently fit this in, but we won't fully install it yet. We will put the cooling line on. There we go, I think that's in. We get our 6mm this time.
It's a BMW clamp. I'm going to tighten it down too much, just enough to keep it snug. And there we are.
Put on our vacuum line. Back here, we'll clip in this.
Clip in our mass airflow sensor. Okay, next let's go ahead and get our filter.
Now we can line up our airflow. Perfect. Put it in the grommet so it's supported. Make sure everything's lining up. I won't tighten everything down the spec just yet. There we go. Right there. Flush.
Nothing crazy. As soon as the rubber starts to tighten. Perfect. This one. Get a screwdriver for this one, see if we can't get it started, and then finish it with the. Nice and hand tight. Now we can get it just a little torque. Alright, nice and tight. Grommets in. Nice angle. Good support. Plugged in our vacuum line. We plugged in our MAF. Perfect, perfect. This looks good down here. Maybe be able to tighten this up. Maybe 6 mil for that. Okay, nice and snug. Alright. Now we can do our passenger side. Alright, and now we can take out our microfiber cloth. We'll just hand tighten our rings down as well, just so that we can get a start when we go to connect. Perfect.
Loosen that just a little bit. Smooth lip, so it shouldn't be too hard. So, push that down. It's pretty far away. Do you think that it's supposed to go the other way? No. Is this eventually unclip? the only way it can go. Nothing crazy. Okay. Oh man, I'm seeing okay. Move that a little loose.
Let's go and get our filter. And like this. Let's loosen these up just a little bit. This one could be tight. Okay. This down there carefully, and that's on. We're now in the grommet. Perfect. I think we're going to want our scoop on this side, realizing that we didn't actually install that because we were waiting for the charge pipe, so let's just back up half a step. We just forgot to install our scoop earlier because we were waiting for the passenger side here. Down in there. Get our grommet in place. Meets up with our housing nicely. Perfect fit. Okay. Perfect. All right, and for those of you paying attention, you will notice that we had to reroute our MAF as it is inverted and doesn't fit between the three distances now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make and top off our intercooler reserve. We're going to do a 50-50 mix of distilled and BMW OEM antifreeze, called ahead, and we're the blue kind, so that's what we got. We're going to go ahead and mix some of that up and pour it into our reservoir before we self-bleed the system. In order to self-bleed the system, we are also going to have to hook up to a charge in order to not drain the battery, because I have heard that it can take about 10 to 15 minutes in order to self-bleed. So we're going to go ahead and mix our antifreeze, top it off, get in the car, and do the self-bleed instructions. All right, in order to make our 50-50 mix, we've got a clean catch can, and we've got our blue OEM BMW antifreeze and some distilled water. We're going to eventually use the container that is the gallon. It says that it's 3.8 liters. I've used a little bit. I think I'm going to go about 1.5 liters in our measure, and then put another 1.5 liters of our coolant in. And that should give us.
All right. And then we'll bring this up to.
All right, we're going to bring it up to 3 liters with our coolant to make our 50-50 mix. This is probably going to have a seal on it as well. It does. Take a little screwdriver and get through it. Careful not to spill any of the foil into the reservoir. Perfect. And we're going to go ahead and mix in our antifreeze. Careful not to spill. And we're going to go up to about 3. All right, that's 3, so that's about 50-50. We're going to add another quarter of water, and then another quarter of antifreeze just because we have the container to fill it. All right, well, that's our 50-50, and we're going to store it in the water bottle, so we're going to have to get rid of the extra. All right, so we've got our 50-50 mix here, and we're going to pour it into our jug. We have a funnel to help us out. All right, and to make it easy to pour, we're not going to fill it to the very top. Take our funnel out. All right, and that is our 50-50 mix. Proper labeling and signage is always important. 50-50 BMW antifreeze, don't drink. All right, now that we're back in front of the car, we're going to go ahead and fill our reservoir with our 50-50 mix. We are going to take a couple microfiber cloths and just make sure that we don't spill any more. These are some that we used earlier, just sort of around just in case. Not a big deal, but we'll go ahead and get our lid off. Do have a funnel, and there is a gauge in there that shows a high level mark. Hopefully we plugged everything back in, because this is the moment we'll know. Don't hear anything spilling out. We're going on the ground. So hopefully that means we plugged everything back in. Let's just go ahead and take a peek. See how much that was. Not that much. Probably double that. Ooh, we're about a quarter of the way up the yellow stairs. Let's do just a bit more. We don't want to overfill it, but we also know that it will take a little bit to run around the system, so. All right. Let's just double check. All right, we're about 3/4 of the way up the stairs there. We're going to go ahead and go through the self-bleed process now to ensure that we get all the air out of the system that we introduced. So as you can hear, the gurgling, the bleeding is working, and we're going to go ahead and get started on those installations up front. All right, we're going to go ahead and try and get our first grill off. We have a pick tool with a little bit of tape on it just so we can get up there and start to get behind some of those clips. the first one out.
Alright, with the grill off here, I'm good to clean. Keep some of that dirt and grime. It's dirty because I haven't washed it in a while. I'm hesitant to take the with a grill when I maybe must have moving it. Here, then what we're going to do is just remove the inside.
Guard in order to get our crank facing flush. It's just like these 2 tabs. Alright, and to get these tabs out, the filter out, you just sort of pull the housing away in these big tabs. And once they're behind, there it goes. Should pop right out.
Then we can take our Eventuri scoop intake, just slide it in sideways. And then once we're in, we're going to raise it up, make sure that it fits in. Now we're going to line up that scoop hole back against the grate. We have a little nut that we're going to push in here. Perfect. Alright, round 2. Alright. Now let's do the other side.
Alright, and with the first side out, the second side is going to be much easier because we'll be able to reach behind and just push tabs out.
This one, the very end. Wow, that was really in there. And nobody knows why.
All right, perfect. All right, with this scoop's installed, let's go ahead and reinstall our kidney grills.
Perfect.
Perfect. We'll check the reservoir level in our expansion tank, and then we should be all set. Well, the second self-bleed lowered the reserve tank by just a little bit, so we're actually going to do it a third time. But before we do that, we can just step back and take a look at our work. I know that we need to put the engine cover back on, but we can see all the exposed carbon fiber. We'll also have to put the strut brace back on, but the black CSF intercooler looks great. The charge pipes look great, and the two cold air Eventuri air intakes look absolutely stunning. So let's go ahead and bleed our system one more time, self-bleed our system, and then we'll put back on our engine cover and our strut brace. All right, we've set up the third self-bleed. Now we're going to reinstall our engine cover, our strut brace, and our cover panels. So with that, we are going to go ahead and give our engine cover a little bit of a wipe down, just filthy from the pollen that we've been having. Nothing fancy here, just a 50-50 mix of cleaning solution and water. Just really to get the pollen off. See, the bottom is just absolutely disgusting.
Alright, like that. We can line up the grommets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like it is hitting our intercooler a little bit. I don't know if we can just adjust how we're putting this on.
All right, now we have our engine cover back on. We can put our strut brakes back on. We're also just going to give this a little bit of wipe down. Unbelievably filthy underneath. All right, we'll get this lined up. We get underneath the plastic.
About there. I'll set up on this side. There's the plastic. Right there, perfect. And we can get our 13 millimeter for the bolts in the back. We have each side and back. There we go, we can hear our self-bleed kick in. Nice and tight. Just set them in here. Now we're going to get our electric. The long 15s on the other side and the back. Set these all up. We'll do the ones in the front first though, just to make sure that everything's straight. Much better. Now we can do these ones. And one 10 millimeter. All right. Now we can get this.
Perfect. We're going to check the level of our coolant now that we've done our third self-bleed. Still drank a little bit of coolant, but we're going to top it up just a little bit more and going to call it good. not above the cap. Perfect. And let's go ahead and put our lid back on.
Perfect.
Disconnect our battery tender, and then we can replace our last covers. And the same thing on the other side. All right, and with all the covers back on, that is going to be the complete install of our Eventuri carbon fiber cold air intake, charge pipes, and CSF intercooler. Thanks for watching the BMW of M3 from Ann Arbor Series. Stay tuned for more episodes.